Gaura Premanande. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Vitale Shimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline. Namaste Shashunya Vari Pashtatara Satarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, what I wanted to start with was just to go back to these verses, just read them over again. The verses were speaking about the qualities of a devotee. Those are very dear to Krishna. And we all want to be dear to Krishna. I can just read it from here, actually. One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, and is free from false ego, and is equal in both happiness and distress, even when the computer doesn't work properly, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very near to me. Satma Priyaha. 15. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. And then text 16. Yeah. Okay, Madhu Mangal Ji Guru, please.
Yeah. Thank you. So text
Hare Krishna.
16. Hare Krishna. Text 16. Anapeksha suchirdaksha udashino gatavyataha sarvaramba parityaji yo mad bhaktaha same priyaha. Translation. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without caresses, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. Translation. Purport. Sorry. Money may be offered to a devotee, but he should not struggle to acquire it. If automatically, by the grace of the Supreme, money comes to him, he is not agitated. Naturally, a devotee takes a bath at least twice in a day and rises early in the morning for devotional service. Thus, he is naturally clean, both inwards and outwardly. A devotee is always expert because he fully knows the essence of all activities of life, and he is convinced of the authoritative scriptures. A devotee never takes part of a particular party, therefore he is carefree. He is never pained because he is free from all designations. He knows that his body is a designation, so if there are some bodily pains, he is free. The pure devotee does not endeavor for anything which is against the principles of devotional service. For example, constructing a big building requires great energy, and the devotee does not take to such a business if it does not benefit him by advancing his devotional service. He may construct a temple for the Lord, and for that he may take all kinds of anxieties, but he does not construct a big house for his personal relations.
Okay. So further qualities are being described here. Any immediate highlights or questions?
Yeah, all these qualities that are described from like text 14.
Yeah.
So that person is supposed, in what state he would be. Got to be up really high, right? Baba?
I wouldn't say the stage of Baba. I would have, it could, yeah, definitely Baba. That's to be, I would say at the stage of being fixed in their devotional practice. Then some of these qualities, now some of these qualities may be there in a beginning budding stage, especially at this stage when one is fixed in the principles of devotional service. Yeah. I would say, no, at least minimum is nishta. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Because here the words like who is tolerant. Okay, we can be tolerant to a certain degree. We can't be completely tolerant to everything. So these devotees are really at a different state, like
Yeah,
equal in happiness and distress. Okay, sometimes we can get over a little bit, but yet again, we're not going to be equal in both. We do get
yeah,
agitated by
yeah.
nature, you know. So I was just thinking.
Yeah, as we gave some nice examples from the Srimad Bhagavatam yesterday. Yeah. And these, if you read these qualities are really explaining about the transcendent nature of the soul. So in other words, the soul is never actually entangled in the material world. So these are symptoms of, as it's mentioned, someone who is pure, a pure soul. Prabhupada mentions the pure devotee. So they exist and they act from the principle of soul. And this purple highlights that further, that they have no bodily designation as such. Yeah, he is free from all designations. Yeah, so these are, yeah, these are principles of, yeah, to explain the soul. Yes, yeah.
But that in some eyes of certain non-devotees will look not very good.
What do you mean? It would look.
But sometimes non-devotees will think if you don't endeavor, you know there's a problem with you, or if you don't react, there is again a problem. So
yeah, I mean, well, you are reacting, but you're reacting in a transcendental way.
Yes.
You're just not as affected by the dualities of the world, because you're getting your happiness that's coming from your devotional service to a Krishna. It's not as if you're callous or you're not caring, but you just acting according to as it's described here.
Prabhu, can I just ask something, Prabhu? So that means like we are in pain, but we are not suffering.
Yeah, that's a good sutra. We are in pain, but we're not suffering. That's
because we understand
body may be in pain.
Yeah, body is in pain. Yeah, so because I was thinking Kadambakanda Maharaj really showed this to everybody, I think.
Yeah, and many of our senior devotees who have left the world, you know, you can see that within them. They're not, there may be, so they're not suffering even though they're in a pain body.
Yeah, they can't do anything. They're totally helpless. But that's because they get the total mercy and the shelter of the Lord, because they are totally surrender.
Yeah, and because they're acting on the principle of soul.
Yeah. Yes. Because
So this principle, you can take it from another point of view, is that whatever difficult situation that we are in, whatever trying situation that we have to face in this world, we can always dig deep within and find a platform of stability on which to view that difficulty. Because we're looking, if we go deep, because the soul the soul is actually not entangled. It's only with the false ego that we invest entanglement from into the body. It sounds a bit technical, but whereas like the soul looks out to the world through the gross and subtle body, and because of false ego, then the soul misidentifies what is happening to be the self, because it's looking out, the soul is looking out through the window, through the window, as you said, of the gross and subtle body. But it's when we identify with that's of that experience, the soul wrongly identifies with being the subtle body or mind. But all the soul does, the soul just empowers the it gives empowerment to the gross and subtle body. Otherwise, it would be dead. You follow? It's a bit technical.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something else to add on that. So then,
see, this mind and emotions, it's all
yeah,
connected with the body, basically.
yeah. So that's why,
Yeah.
although it's not always possible, sometimes what people go through in this world, they're unable to come to terms with it or to keep themselves from going under. It's not always so easy, but it can be done. Whatever situation we are in, there is a higher sense of self from which we can view that situation from a more detached perspective. Yeah, it's just like if you were to ask you, who is seeing, who is hearing? Is it the ears are hearing?
Krishna.
No, the ears can't hear because the ears are just matter.
Oh yeah, yeah. The soul is here.
Yeah, so sometimes I'm discussing this with a devotee the other day. So is the soul the experiencer? Is the soul the doer? No, the soul is the experiencer. The soul experiences. Do you follow? So otherwise, like, who is tasting? Is it the soul or the tongue?
Yeah, the satisfaction. I think it's saying it's all about the satisfaction within.
Yeah, so I'm just saying who is seeing? Is it the eyeball? But the eyeball is just a lump of jelly. Who's seeing? It's the soul that's seeing, it's the soul that's hearing, and it's the soul that's tasting.
But then when one feeling pain, is the soul feeling the pain then?
No, the soul is identifying with what's
With the
happening
body.
with the gross or subtle body.
Body.
So you got gross pain, then you got subtle pain, stress, anxiety, envy, anger, lust. And the soul, because of false ego, thinks that he's experiencing it, but he's just observing it. Very chunky. It's
very technical. With these words, you can remember this.
Yeah.
One is observing.
But the main point I want to come across here is that this is the pure soul is not covered by the false identification with the gross and subtle body. So his experience and interaction with the world and its dualities is going to be exactly what these verses are saying. He has no care, free from all pains, not striving for some result.
Prabhu, so we can think of Jada Bharat in this situation. Jada Bharat.
Yeah, many examples we gave yesterday. Jada Bharat is one example.
Yeah.
So again, as I mentioned before, these are qualities which will naturally manifest as one becomes purified in devotional service. But it's good for us to take note of them and want to develop them. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's read in text 17. Unless there's any more questions or comments on that. Yeah, just going on in this. That's why some persons can be in really difficult situations. Like one example that we were speaking about, for example, is Nelson Mandela. Now, how does he fit in with this? Well, he was in prison for most of his life, but he came out from that prison, from that experience, not having any ill feelings towards anyone who had caused his imprisonment, and he didn't begrudge of being in prison for I think over 20 years. I think he found
27 years.
Yeah, 27 years. So he's in that sense he's a great soul from a material perspective. because he's acting from the principle that the soul is completely transcendental. So, and that's why sometimes persons who are put in those situations, they find a sense of deep, some people, they can find a really sense of deep wisdom and a significant outlook to the reality of the world, because they found shelter of the platform of the soul. Anyway, I'm kind of going on a bit here. Let's go to 17. Huh? Oh,
Okay, shall I?
yeah, please, Mother. Let's read some Bhagavad Gita rather than hear from you all the time. Hare Krishna.
Text 17.
Yes.
Yena rishyati na dreshti, sochati na kakshati, shubha shubha parityagi, bhakti manya same priyaha. Translation. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me. Purport. A pure devotee is neither happy nor distressed over the material gain or loss, nor is he very much anxious to get a son or a disciple, nor is he distressed by not getting them. If he loses anything which is very dear to him, he does not lament. Similarly, if he does not get what he desires, he is not distressed. He is transcendental in the face of all kinds of auspicious and inauspicious sinful activities. He is prepared to accept all kinds of risks for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Nothing is an impediment in the discharge of his devotional service. Such a devotee is very dear to Krishna.
Okay, thank you. So a pure soul. Okay. So what is auspicious? What is inauspicious? It's all the dualities of the world. Yeah. Any insights or questions here?
So sometimes we say there's nothing good, nothing bad.
Yeah, who's to say
It's all
good?
it's all
Who's to
in
say
our mind. Somebody sees something as good, somebody that same thing as bad for another person.
Yeah, just like, if I get this right, there's one example that's given of a man and his son, and they're on a horse.
Yeah.
You heard that example, on a horse.
Oh,
and they
yes.
pass one village.
Big
And everyone's criticizing, saying, "Look at these wicked people. You know, look at this horse. It has to carry two of them." You know, so then the man gets off the horse, and the son's on the horse, and it gets to the next village, and then the villagers are criticizing. You know, what's that son doing? Why didn't he let his father go on the horse? Why is the son on the horse? It should be the father on the horse. He's the elder. So then then the next village, they do the other way. They do the other way around. Then the father gets on the horse and the son is walking. So it gets to the next village, and all the villagers are criticizing. Just look at that. Let's look at that. Then why isn't it, you know, why is the father making the son walk? And the father's on a horse. So then the next village, then they're both walking by the side of the horse. Then the people in the village, look at this stupid man. There's a horse, and there's no one on the back of the horse. So, good or bad, different dualities of this world. Yeah.
And they started carrying the horse after that. Another horse is donkey. They carried the donkey.
Yeah, the example goes on. All right, so one neither rejoices nor grieves. And if you think about it, this world is just about these 2 points, either rejoicing or grieving. So much grief that goes on in this world because of the dualities of the world, you know, and so much lamentation All right.
So, Prabhu, so
yes.
basically, on this we can say it's nothing called etiquette then. We talk about
Sorry?
Vaishnava etiquette or etiquettes.
Yeah. What's
So
that?
even
subject?
even etiquettes are not considered to be okay, because it's all these etiquettes are all in this world, isn't it, Prabhu?
No, but we have to act according to the situation of Varna and Ashram. Yes, so this is where you have to be careful, because what we're speaking of is really the philosophy of the Gyanis. When you really get
Okay.
down, that's why they don't interact with people or interact with the world. No, but we understand the philosophy ultimately, but then we have to act according to our material designation within
Yeah.
this one, and have due respect, and as such act with due regard and respect to our position and the position of others. Yeah, so it's good you brought that up, because this type of philosophy is what the Avadhuts live by, this philosophy where they don't have any position in society, because everything is just exactly as we explaining. It's just the dualities of the world. But no, Vaishnavas will function within the world and function according to their position in the world, and act accordingly to juniors, act according to peers, act according to seniors. Yeah, so okay, hopefully that's clear, everyone. Doesn't mean that we walk about with sense of callousness, because we're not the body and everything is an illusion because of false ego. No. Is that okay? Thank you for bringing it up, Mother. Thank you.
I think Gayatri is waiting.
Oh, Gayatri is waiting.
Yeah, please, Madhu Mango. Please be attentive. Is he still there?
I'm here.
Yeah,
Did
he's
you let-
waiting for ages. He's waiting.
Yeah, they are all in.
Yeah, don't forget, you have to keep an eye on it. Welcome, Mother Gayatri. Sorry to keep you left out.
Thank you.
My fault. I'm taking it all on my shoulder.
Okay, so let's read text 18 and 19.
I can read it.
Go ahead, yeah. Have a go at the Sanskrit.
Okay, close your ears. Samasatru cha mitra cha tataman apamanayo sitoshna sukhe dukheshu samavasanga vivarjita tulya ninda stutir moni santushta yena knaschit
Kenachit.
kenachit aniketan stita
There,
matir bhaktimam me priyonara. Translation. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. A devotee is always free from all bad association. Sometimes one is praised and sometimes one is defamed. That is the nature of human society. For a devotee is always
But a devotee, no?
But a devotee is always transcendental to artificial fame and infamy, distress or happiness. He is very patient. He does not speak of anything but the topics about Krishna. Therefore, he is called silent. Silent does not mean that one should not speak. Silent means that one should not speak nonsense. One should speak only of essentials. And the most essential speech for the devotee is to speak for the sake of the Supreme Lord. A devotee is happy in all conditions. Sometimes he may get very palatable foodstuff, sometimes not, but he's satisfied. Nor does he care for any residential facilities. He may sometimes live underneath a tree, and he may sometimes live in a very palatial building. He's attracted to neither. He's called fixed because he's fixed in his determination and knowledge. We may find some repetition in the descriptions of the qualification of a devotee. But this is just to emphasize the fact that a devotee must acquire all these qualifications. Without good qualifications, one cannot be a pure devotee. Harav avastasya kuto mahat guna. One who is not a devotee has no good qualification. One who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop a good qualification. Develop the good qualification. Of course, he does not extraneously endeavor to acquire these qualifications, but engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically helps him develop them.
Okay. All right. Any questions here? Prabhupada gives a very intriguing purport, especially at the end.
If you practice Krishna consciousness, all these qualities will come. Because I was just thinking, oh God, this is so difficult to be dear to Krishna. And then
Hearing these qualities, but
Yeah.
they will come from a natural development of Krishna consciousness.
Mhm.
So that's why at the end, Prabhupada says here, one who wants to be recognized, he says, without good qualifications, one cannot become a pure devotee. Then he quotes this verse, which we'll have a look at in a minute. One who is not a devotee has no good qualification. One who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop good qualifications. So that's one sentence. He demands we should develop the good qualifications. Then in the next sentence, he says, of course, he does not extraneously endeavor to acquire these qualifications. So he seems to say the opposite. But engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically help him develop them. So you understand the balance, how we try to, one who wants to be recognized, we should develop these good qualifications. So we should be conscious of that to some degree, but we should, if we're not coming up to the mark, we should have faith in the process of Krishna consciousness that we can develop these qualifications. And here's this verse. It's good about this particular Bhagavad Gita I'm using. I press on here, it goes to the verse. So here's that verse from the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada quotes part of it here. Okay, so Yashasti Bhakti Bhagavata Kinchana starts. I won't read the whole thing. I'll read the translation. All the demigods in their exalted qualities such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. So that's unalloyed devotion. So that is here, Kinchana Bhakti, without any motive. Then the qualities of the pure soul manifest. Okay. Then it says, on the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities. So this is often a subject of discussion as well. Quite clear here that it's saying they have no good qualities. But we do see, and I'm sure you know people who are not devotees, but they have good qualities. Let's finish reading this verse and we can discuss that. Even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? Okay, we won't read the whole purport. Oh, in the purport, Prabhupada speaks about the 26 qualities of a devotee. Should we have a look at that for a minute or so?
Mhm.
Yeah, let's just. Yeah, he says in the beginning, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the description of some of the qualities of devotees. So, for example, Haridas Thakur, well-behaved, tolerant, peaceful, magnanimous, and grave. He spoke very sweetly, etc. So, and it mentions here, these are all originally qualities of Krishna. And when one becomes a devotee, they automatically become manifest. All right? Just like if you associate with a drunkard, Prabhupada would say, there's a good chance that you may become a drunkard. If you associate with someone who's very critical, then there's a good chance you might start to become very critical. If you associate with someone who's always praising the devotees, there's a good chance you will also pick up that habit. Yeah. So association. But he mentions because in practicing devotional service, then we associate with Krishna. But we don't develop the same quality, the same quantity as Krishna. I think it's 70% or something. Did you follow that? Any comments on that? So it's by rendering devotional service means you're associating with Krishna. So then qualities of Krishna is going to manifest within you. And when one becomes a devotee, then automatically they manifest. And then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he lists here the 26 qualities of a devotee. 1, he's very kind to everyone. He does not make anyone his enemy. He is truthful. He is equal to everyone. No one can find any fault in him. He is magnanimous. He is mild. He is always clean. He is without possessions. He works for everyone's benefit. He is very peaceful. He is always surrendered to Krishna. He has no material desires. He is very meek. He is steady. He controls his senses. He does not eat more than required. He is not influenced by the Lord's illusory energy. He offers respect to everyone. He does not desire any respect for himself. He is very grave. He is merciful. He is friendly. He is poetic. He is expert. And he is silent. Yeah. Now there's often a series of videos where Prabhupada disciples are speaking on each of these qualities as seen within Prabhupada. It's very nice. I don't know if anyone's seen that. And they speak on, for instance, he is kind to everyone. The devotees share their experience of that. And they go for all these 26 qualities. Because Prabhupada, watching Prabhupada, hearing about Prabhupada, then Prabhupada is the perfect embodiment of all of these qualities. You could take any one of these qualities, and I'm sure you could relate it to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, every one of them. Yeah. So then if we go back here, hope you don't mind taking you through a little study here. So if someone was to ask you the question, what does it mean that, where is it? A person engaged in material activities has no good qualities. So you might know someone, you might know a next door neighbor, you may know a cousin, or whatever, someone at work who's always very kind, very conscientious, always likes to help you. So how might we understand what is being said here?
These qualities come from his previous life. It's like a shadow.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, these qualities are coming from by dint of his karma. So that means the qualities are not really a manifestation of a pure heart, you could say.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Anybody else on this? I think Bhagavad Kishore is cut to the chase, so to speak.
But I think even in this life, we have to continue cultivating until it becomes a proper creeper. Otherwise, the previous life's good qualities can disappear in the following life, in the next life.
Yeah, Mother Ravajka shows she's really, yeah, this is really a good point. And this is the point I wanted to bring out, that these qualities may just be manifest by a temporary manifestation of the mode of goodness in that particular life or that particular time in their life. But as it said here, because one must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy, so there is always a battle of one mode prominent than another mode. There's a verse like that that's described in the 14th chapter. So we have a better understanding of this. So it doesn't mean exactly that no one has good qualities, but we see them. As far as I can understand from this, it's not the manifestation of a purified soul. It's not the natural qualities of the soul, although it may be a reflection of godly qualities. But they may just be manifest for some time. In the next life, we may see something else. All right, any comments upon that? It sounds okay? It sound correct? Or any other ideas on it? I'm looking for the purple here. You can see me scrolling up and down.
So, Prabhu, are you saying about this power of the karma?
Yeah, prarabdha karma. Yeah, the body we have.
Okay, so it can manifest. Yeah, it is just like a shadow. It's just like a shadow.
Yeah, that's
but,
it. So, just for example, you have Kamsa, who at one point, after imprisoning Devaki and Vasudev, he had a change of heart. He had a dramatic change of heart. Felt sorry for what he had actually done, and he wanted to release them. So his good qualities he was manifesting, but it didn't last for long, that's for sure. Because I think as Narada Muni came or telling him,
yeah,
actually, you don't know what's going to happen. Perhaps he's already, so appeared. And then the next minute, he became very demonic again. So to suit his own purposes, so it's temporary. It wasn't the real thing. And Vasudeva was wary of that. Okay, we shouldn't take this very seriously. Yeah, just like if there's someone very demonic or very unpleasant or very materialistic, and they're exhibiting very sacred qualities, you should think, well, you shouldn't. You should understand. Okay, and I can't remember the example. There's the example that comes. I have to look it up again about the jackal and the vulture, who are both exhibiting good qualities in trying to advise about what to do with a dead body. Yeah. But they had their own motives in giving advice to the family, whether to leave the body as it is or to come back the next day. So they were speaking so-called in favor or kind of giving good advice to the family whose son had died. But the motive of the vulture was that they should leave the body there during the day. And the reason because vultures eat during the day. All right. But the jackal said, no, you should guard the body during the day, but then it should be okay at nighttime. Why? Because jackals eat at night. You understand? Jackals eat at night and vultures eat during the day. So for their own material purposes, they were trying to give good advice to the family whose son had died, but to suit their own nefarious purposes. The vulture wanted them to leave the body during the day. And the jackal said, no, better just guard it during the day and leave it at night, because both wanted to eat a body. All right. Anybody else has any comments on this or questions? going back here to the verse. Now let's have a look. So while we're using this app here, I'll show you another study that I usually do. If you see here, this is Surrender Unto Me. You may have heard me refer to this on a few occasions. So this is a book by Bodhijan. He gives the commentaries of the Acharyas. So he highlights certain aspects. So here he's quoting Prabhupada's verbatim. He's quoting Prabhupada's purport here. Yeah. So he just writes, Srila Prabhupada writes. So for example, in the last verse, he's commenting from Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. Okay. Now let's go back. All right. So I'm giving you some insight here. If you want to read in Gita and you have this folio here, you can do a bit of study on it. It highlights the verses quoted, so you can go there and look it up. Okay. All right. So should we read the last verse?
Yeah.
Text 20. Okay, perhaps I have a read if you don't mind. I'll jump in and read. Unless someone has their hand up. Does anyone have their hand up?
No.
Okay. Ye tu dhammamritam idam yatoktam payopashate shatadana matparama bhaktiste tivame priyaha. Priyaha, very dear. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. Okay, so summary. In this chapter from verse 2 through the end, from Maya Avesha Mano Yeyam, just fix your mind upon me, fix all your intelligence upon me. Through Ye tu Dhammamritam Midam. This is this verse here. First line. Yeah. This religion of internal engagement, Supreme Lord has explained the processes of transcendental service for approaching him. Such processes are very dear to the Lord, and he accepts a person engaged in them. The question of who is better, one who is engaged in the path of impersonal Brahman, or the one who is engaged in the personal service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was raised by Arjuna. That was the beginning of this chapter. And the Lord replied to him so explicitly that there is no doubt that devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the best of all processes of spiritual realization. In other words, in this chapter, it is decided that through good association, one develops attachment for pure devotional service and thereby accepts a bona fide spiritual master, and from him begins to hear and chant and observe the regulative principles of devotional service with faith, attachment and devotion, and thus becomes engaged in transcendental service of the Lord. All right. Now, Prabhupada, in the verses and in the purport, it's not specifically mentioned. But Prabhupada brings that out as a natural conclusion of this chapter. He said, in other words, in this chapter, it is decided that he speaks about association with devotees, or good association. Now, it didn't mention about association in the verses. Can anyone remember that? Any of the verses, it doesn't specifically mention. So this is how we can understand from this, Prabhupada is saying how we can develop these qualities. It's by good association. Yeah. So he's giving us something extra here. One for pure devotional service, and then one accepts the spiritual master, begins to hear and chant, follows the regulative principles, serves. Now this was here, I think, faith, attachment, but then devotion, becomes engaged in transcendental service of the Lord. This path is recommended in this chapter. So this is, therefore, there is no doubt that devotional service is the only absolute path for self-realization, for the attainment of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, so the process, the whole chapter is called devotional service. The impersonal conception of the Supreme Absolute Truth, as described in this chapter, is recommended only up to the time that one surrenders himself for self-realization. In other words, as long as one does not have the chance to associate with a pure devotee. Do you remember we brought that up as a discussion in One Purple, where Prabhupada's recommending meditating oneself to be the Supreme? Devotees here can remember that part of that discussion? Anyone out there?
No, I can't.
Remember? I think Mother Luther then pointed to a
Oh, the chapter 15 something.
yeah.
Mm.
So that was there. So Prabhupada, he was recommended, if you can't follow all these processes, that then you can meditate upon yourself as being God. And Prabhupada mentions, so he's bringing it out here. As in other words, as long as one does not have the chance to associate with a pure devotee. But again, it's not mentioned in the verses. Prabhupada's bringing it out as a principle of devotional service. The impersonal conception may be beneficial. In the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, one works without fruitive result, meditates and cultivates knowledge to understand spirit and matter. So this is a jnani, yeah. This is necessary as long as one is not in the association of a pure devotee. Fortunately, if one develops directly a desire to engage in Krishna consciousness in pure devotional service, he does not need to undergo step-by-step improvements in spiritual realization. Devotional service, as described in the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, is more congenial. So the middle 6 chapters is specifically focused on devotion, on pure devotion. Okay, one need not bother about materials to keep body and soul together, because by the grace of the Lord, everything is carried out automatically. Okay. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of devotional service. All right. Any comments or questions on that? Now, here's just to go over a couple of minutes, we started a bit late. Just for an example, we can go through this. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur concludes this chapter. These characteristics that arise in one from devotion and from peacefulness are not material qualities. All right, so this is a good point. These qualities are not material as manifest from the mode of goodness. They're spiritual. This is in accordance with the statement, Krishna is satisfied only by devotion. Okay. Interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So even if you have these good qualities, you're not going to impress Krishna unless it's a manifestation of devotion. That's what Vishwanath is saying it. Krishna is satisfied only by devotion, never by material qualities. The word but in this verse indicates the introduction of a new idea. The devotees described up to this point have each perfectly cultivated one aspect of their personalities. All right. Those mentioned in this verse, however, are desirous of perfecting all these qualities. Therefore, even during the stage of sadhana, they are superior to those on other paths, even if those individuals have achieved the perfected stage of their paths. That's the power of pure devotional service, or akinchana bhakti. For this reason, the word ativa, extremely or very, very rare, is used in this verse. And then Prabhupada he summarizes the chapter. So Gurujan just quotes what we just read. Okay? It's quite interesting when you look into it, isn't it?
Mhm.
All right. Any closing comments on this? We don't have time to read the Mahatmya for the next chapter, but we'll do that next week. Okay. So next week we begin chapter 13, nature, the enjoy, and consciousness. My apologies again for the mishap at my end. Please bear with me. Hopefully I'll have it ready for tomorrow for our Bhagavatam Gita reading, okay? Well, thank you for being patient with it.
Thank you for
Thank you.
for coming, Prabhu. Thank you
No
for
problem.
giving your time.
So thank you, everyone. I hope we've got inspired by what we heard today and what we read today. You can take something away with you and meditate upon it. So thank you for giving us an opportunity for this reading and discussion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Bol.
Mantika Bhutavivishta Kibasani Vidabhudinam.
Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.